Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to the Fallout Bar, day number 2 of the PDC World Championships at Alexandra Palace. Boys, I cannot tell you how happy I am that we have the regular intro music back. It's so different to the one we've had for the last couple of weeks. Like, you just see, everyone else can't see this, but I can see Lee in particular just bopping along at the bottom before we come in. I've got a different view to what you guys have got. Good evening, boys. Welcome back. I'll start with you, Lee. How are we, buddy?
Yes, all good, mate. All good. I love the World Championship and there's 8 matches in one day. It's brilliant, isn't it? So I'm very happy.
It's gone straight to darts. You don't want to talk about any other sports or anything? No? Just moving on?
You're a dart show. You know what I'm saying?
You're a dart show. Until it goes well. I bet you'll be both barrels the minute you lot start playing, all right? Jarlath, late night for us last night, then an early morning for yourself because you were stupid enough to get up and watch all of the cricket instead of just see what the score is and watch the last session. How are we, buddy?
Yeah, good evening, everybody. Hope we're all well. It was fine up until the point where I got up at 6:30 this morning to watch the second session. England are crap, as we all know. Josh Butler, I don't know what you're doing. But as Lee has said, we're a darts show, and let's talk about that because the player of the day poll at the moment, Gob, that we're running is a little bit weird, I've got to say. I don't think that a certain player should be leading by that much.
It's wrong.
Come on now.
It's not weird. It's wrong. The player of the day is currently in 3rd. Daryl Gurney was superb today, and I won't hear anything else other.
The player of the day.
Sorry, William O'Connor says hello.
The player of the day is in 2nd. Yes, Joe, I'm with you.
Correct. Absolutely.
But let's move on. Marcus had an absolute stinker in the fantasy by the looks of it. He has captained Scott Mitchell. We discussed that yesterday, actually, about people that had captained players that are only playing in the second round. I, too, had Scott Mitchell involved because I think the winner of that one plays... Does the winner of that one play Ian White, maybe?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, and he was one of the seeds that you look to be targeting with players further in that round, but Scott Mitchell was beaten, and we will get on to that very, very shortly, gents. We're going to go in match order today as well. It gives us as much time as possible to get to the main event of this evening and have a clip ready for that from Phil Bars. Before we do get underway, let's say hello to a few people in the chat room. Winita's in. She says, Jar, love to see that face. I'm glad you do, Winita. We're fed up of it. Bless him, but he's still around.
That's why I'm leaving.
Charlie's in. Hello, buddy. Good to see you, mate. We'll no doubt have you on screen very, very soon within the week. Tugboat couldn't get the verification email. That's all right, mate. You didn't want to embarrass yourself anyway, pal. We've got you. We will be trying to give you guys some updates of our league over the coming days. We're just trying to let a few more games get played. In fact, let's have a quick look on my phone to see who's leading the league at the minute in our private league.
Well, someone managed to get 48 points last night at one stage. So I think they captained Gezi.
Right, okay. I've only had one player so far.
They're on 42 points now. They did have Scott Mitchell, and then AD Lewis, I think, has dropped points from where he was because he's now on 8 points. Obviously, played twice, so the loss will count against him. Lost 3 sets. 42 points, but he does have 3 players that are eliminated. So he's picked players that have played twice but knocked out. That is Dean's Dynamos. He is currently leading the online darts, fantasy darts league. Boys, we have so much to talk about tonight. Last night's show took well over an hour. Tonight we have to review twice as many games and then look forward to another 8. So let's get started straight away. Game number 1, boys. We're going to go in order. Steve Lennon, Jar. Scuba Steve, as Lee pointed out to us before we started this show, that absolutely nobody knew that was his nickname. Getting the job done against Madas Rasma.
I don't like to say that I told you so, but I told you so. That not that Madas Rasma would win because I did predict that. What I did predict was that this game would be an underrated gem, and it absolutely was. This is why we do the previews, everybody, so that you can expect it, and it was. It was a really, really good game. Thought Rasma lost it a little bit towards the middle of the game. I thought the 4th set was, I'll be honest with you, was a mess. And I'm pretty sure that he will say the same thing as well when he comes back and think about it. But in the end, for me, Gob, I think the right person won the match, and Rasma can't complain. He had the chances, but he just didn't quite get over the line. And full credit to Steve Lennon, who sets up a rather intriguing tie tomorrow. And I, for one, cannot bloody wait for it.
Yeah, and as we say, that is the beauty of set play. Wins 3-1 overall. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Only 10-8 in leg. That would have been a good game. The first round of the match play as well, that sort of format. So, yeah, really interested in that one. Lee, I want to ask you a quick question on Madas Rasma. I probably should have prepped you about this one. He switches so much more frequently than anybody else in the world. His treble 19 hitting is up there. It's just not the done thing to do to just play on the 19s anymore. You've got it a lot more back in history. There's so many youngsters coming through that are so adept at moving around the board. But do you think it's actually a hindrance to Rasma that he is so adept at switching that the minute he doesn't find his range on one, he starts looking for an open treble and perhaps doesn't have the dart in the bed to rely on that a lot of the top pros? If Gary Anderson or AD Lewis's first dart is in that top of the treble 20 bed, they're going to find it again. Madas Rasma doesn't really have that weapon. Yeah,
for me, it's a negative in the base of that. It's every dart a single instead of finding a rhythm and getting that sort of play. So for me, it was obviously there's no harm in being very good on treble 19 and having it as a shot to rely on if needed. However, when you are playing each dart individually, then becomes a bit more difficult. And I think today we saw him struggle with that. Because then when he doesn't find that, he's then having to dial back up the board and relying on that. And then he messed up his game a little bit today. But overall, Steve Lennon done nothing on with Jarvid setups, and I will preview tomorrow's games. But it does set up a very good game tomorrow. One thing I found very interesting, I've not seen it. I can remember before, with both players missing the board completely to set up shots in that last set. I know it got a bit messy, but I can't remember if I've ever seen that before with both players missing the single number and going out the board, set it up. That would probably be the biggest worry tomorrow, because for me, Steve Lennon, Retoisty will take them opportunities whereas Rasma didn't. So Lennon will need to up it, but we've seen it with quite a few already, that the first round has sort of eased in and got through to a win, and then we saw a better performance from them, if not the right result. So it'll be interesting.
Cannot wait for you to say exactly the same line in 45 minutes' time when I ask you for a prediction on that fourth game of tomorrow. That's just the way this show works out sometimes. Let's move on then, boys. No interview from Steve Lennon as a clip that we're going to play. That is available in full on our YouTube channel. Because we do have to get through 8 matches tonight, we just handpicked the best ones that we think. If you want to go and watch that in full, obviously jump onto the YouTube channel after we finished or tomorrow before play starts. Just make sure you give yourselves enough time. That doesn't mean you miss watching us for the next 20 minutes or so. Game number 2, boys. We're going to breeze over this one very, very quickly because, quite frankly, it wasn't very good. Scott Mitchell, very, very disappointing. Going down 3-0 to Chris Landman. A terrible performance on the outer ring for the former world champion, Jar.
Yeah, it was. Let's be frank about it. It was Bobbins. He'll say the same. Look, it happens. There are days that your doubling doesn't go well. Gob, you know this more than most, I'm sure.
Been there, done that.
Got the t-shirt and everything. The thing is that like he was outscoring him mainly. I mean, he hit more than 100 plus visits. He hit slightly more 140s. Yes, he was outplayed on the 180 stakes, but it was the checkouts that let him down. Full credit to Chris Landman. You know, apart from obviously the BDO quarterfinal at the Indigo. I was going to say something else there, but it's not that. In the Indigo.
Itching to say that after
I was just to annoy you. Just to annoy you with a week to go before I actually do bugger off. Anyway, the point is that by that I haven't really seen much of him play. And fair play to him, he took advantage, and he said that in his interview clip that he took advantage, and he did, and he took exactly what he needed to do, which was beat him and did him well. And 3-0 was an accurate reflection of just how bad Scotty Dog was, and not a great debut. Let's put it that way. And it almost was a whitewash. It almost was a full whitewash. Should have been a full whitewash. Yeah. There's no doubt about that.
Should have been indeed. Look, Lee, I'll be honest, a lot of us don't know an awful lot about Chris Landman apart from that run at the BDO World Championship a couple of years back. Was at Q School, didn't quite make it through, came through the European qualifier to make this event. In patches, I thought he was okay. We'll definitely have to tighten up. He's another Dutch player that likes to play at a lot of pace, and I think his action is a little bit too loopy, perhaps, to be playing at that pace, because he's just... It's a bit like Danny Lauby, and we'll talk about this in a little bit as well. If the first one's wild, there's no real opportunity to reset and find his range again.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. It's weird to say that if Stock Mitchell would have turned up, he'd have won that game, and that's saying to someone who we're just saying should have lost 9-0.
Should have lost 9-0, yeah.
So it's very weird to say that, but obviously we're saying that because, one, we've seen what Stock Mitchell can do, former light side world champion, and then we've seen him, and then someone who we've seen very little of. And then when we have seen him, as much as he's got the result tonight and took his opportunities, Dublin was good, his scoring wasn't there, and that a lot of that is because of that throw. And like I said, he stepped in, he done the job tonight, but how far he can progress is a different question. He's got to be a lot more consistent, and he's one of a few players that we've seen with that throw, very quick, very sort of loopy light. That if you don't get it right, there's a lot of trouble there.
Yeah, look, he was still smiling away and whatever. And Todd says, Scotty Mitchell and his wife took me for a Pizza Hut once, loves a Hawaiian. Well, that serves him right. If you put pineapple on a pizza, you deserve to lose 3-0 in the opening round of the PDC World Championship. Moving on, game number 3. And this was a match, boys, between two players that do not have a tour card, although the way they qualified were vastly different. Chaz Barstow coming through as if he was a tour card holder, as one of the top 64 or on the order of merit. John Norman Jr. coming across from North America. And it was Chaz Barstow who put in a very, very solid performance, boys, against John Norman Jr. 93 average for Barstow, winning 3-1 in the end jar. And I'll be honest, look, there wasn't really an awful lot coming back at him. John Norman was a little bit flat, a little bit disappointing to a lot of people who...
I wanted more of the World Cup John Norman, please.
Exactly, and I think that this game got a lot of attention in the build-up because people were expecting that from John Norman Jr. And actually, I've watched a little bit of CDC this year when not been able to sleep or whatever, because that's just the time that it's on. And he hasn't quite been as erratic or extroverted as people will remember him. And to be honest, this is probably more of a moment to big up the fact that another player playing in the Live League is playing very well.
Yeah, but God, remember, it's only been created just to be able to create more money for the bookies. We know this. Oh, sorry, again, did I say that out loud? In all seriousness, though, Chaz Barstow played absolutely outstanding. We obviously saw him at the Players' Championship, didn't particularly do a great job down there, but he managed to go and win his first round match here at the World Championships. It's a big moment, and there isn't much to talk about this game personally. I don't think that John Norman Jr. played anywhere near what he could have done. But your reward for all that is the opportunity to take out what many people are suggesting is going to win this World Darts Championship on Saturday night. And that is not a bad effort for someone who ain't got a tour card. And we'll be going back to Q School as well. I'm hoping that they do give him an exemption and they do put him into stage 2. At the moment, I don't think he's in stage 2, is he? Already?
Don't know. I know he's 15 grand better off.
Well, yes, but
turn your nose up out. And he
deserves to.
Has benefited from being in that position where top of the Challenge Tour Order of Merit gives you the best of both worlds during the majority of PDC events, which he's done well enough in to put himself in the World Championships. Also be able to get as much match practice and be in literally anything and everything he wants from the amateur side of the game or the non-PDC part of the game. And he's really benefited from that. And like you said, Jerry, does take on Meikle van Gerwen on Saturday, which will be a tough test. But actually, Lee, I think the defining factor of Chaz Barstow is his mentality. He doesn't seem one that's ever flustered or fazed by anything. So even if Van Gerwen does reel off a set, Chaz is going to come back out with the same action, the same mentality, and just get on with it. And if it's not quite enough, it's not quite enough. And if it is, you probably won't be able to tell. He's not one you'd want to play poker against.
Yeah, I agree. And I don't think, when you look at the players that MVG could have had in round 2, I don't think you'd have been pitting Chaz Barstow. I think it's a difficult tie. He's probably in the position of in a COVID year, he's probably in the position that he's played more darts than anyone else in the world in top tournaments because of where he's landed, because of the live lead, because of being, in theory, he's been an unofficial tour card holder because he's been in every single Pro Tour event because of the people we've had drop out or people not come. So he's been in a position where he's played in everything, and he's took his opportunity, and he's, yes, he might not. He's going to have to go back to Q-Stall potentially. Who knows what run he can go on this over the next couple of weeks. But he's put himself in a great position, even if he doesn't get the better of MVG, which obviously he's not expected to. But someone just put around him, Chas being their favourite player now. It was enjoyable to watch. It was good to see him on the stage. We've seen a lot of him, like I says, we've seen a lot of him in the live league. And he's won, even if he's in stage one. Probably one of the favourites to thumb through Q-Stall, which
he might not really. Let's be realistic. If he goes to stage 1A or stage 1B, let's be realistic about this. He won't be. He should get his tour card on the first, second day. He is that good.
Yeah,
he's that good.
Yeah. Where did he finish on the challenge tour, Merit? I'm not sure.
I don't think he topped it, did he?
No, they wouldn't have got his card, but he might have got.
No, Jim topped it, didn't he?
Tell you what, let me have a look.
You have a look, because I've done a quick look on him getting his tour card automatically, and he would have to effectively do a Fallon Sherrock. And what I mean by that is beating one of the top 4 players in the 3rd round to accumulate enough money to win a tour card automatically and be in the top 64. Fallon Sherrock would have to beat Gerwin Price. Chas Barstow would have to beat Meikle van Gerwen to basically accumulate enough prize money on the overall order of merit to put themselves in a position to earn a tour card outright. Jar, while you do that little bit of research, we're going to hear from Chas Barstow because we do have 4 interviews to play tonight, another 5 games to review after this one. We'll pop back to whatever you found your research, and then we will move on to the first round 2 game of the day. Here is Chas Barstow.
Well, luckily I didn't give him he didn't have a lot to cheer about, did he? So it wasn't too bad. So yeah, I kind of actually he's a nice guy, and yeah, I was prepared for it, but I shut him out a little bit, so it's good. Really looking forward to it. Really looking forward to it. I just so wanted to get to Saturday night. I'm so looking forward to it. The atmosphere is going to be amazing. It's going to be awesome.
I like that. He just looks like he's having a great time, doesn't he? He did the right things against Don Norman Jr., kept him quiet, and now he gets a showdown with one of the best players of all time.
Just one thing on the dog, just one thing quickly. He says he didn't give John Norman anything to celebrate. Does John Norman really need an excuse to celebrate?
John Norman would celebrate hitting the big 1 if he needed 5.
So he actually finished 25th on the order of merit, as people have put in there, and it is the players who finished from 2nd to 4th of each of the European and UK Challenge and Dev Tours order of merit that get exempt to the final stage. So it is a shame, really, because he deserves to be there. He deserves to be into final stage, having basically been a player all year on the challenge on the Pro Tour. Let's be frank about it, but they haven't got a ground to do it. But rule number 1 might come into force.
Nope.
We'll see. I doubt it. Doesn't quite have the commercial viability that Fallon Sherrock may do. On to the final game of the afternoon session, boys, and the first round 2 match of the day, which saw the number 22 seed, good memory from last night, Daryl Gurney, take on Ricky Evans, boys. Ricky out to a flying start, wins the first set.
We don't care about that.
Why?
There's only one thing that matters from this. What on earth was that singing from Daryl Gurney? Come on now.
Here's me trying to be professional. You're like, yeah, let's talk about his karaoke.
Yeah, the karaoke was dreadful.
It was. Thankfully, the match was pretty decent, so we all let him off. It was a solid performance from Daryl Gurney, who looks like, boys, he is starting to click somewhat. Not quite top 4 in the world, Daryl Gurney, that goes on to win the Players' Championship that he did previously and the Grand Prix. But he does look like he is another player that has had success in the last 5 or 6 years that is starting to rebuild, that will make next year incredibly competitive, and a good professional job over his stablemate Lee, 3-1 beating Ricky Evans.
Yeah, very good. And on that first set that Evans had, the 1-4-6, in having throw broken 3 times, Daryl Gurney, to then see Gurney respond in that way.
No,
Yes, Dad.
Just keep talking. I put the comments up. You ignore them. We can't keep laughing every time something funny comes up.
Stop putting funny things up. Stop putting funny things up, then, Doc.
For podcast listeners, it did say my dog started crying when he started singing. That's for podcast listeners. That.
The biggest thing for me on the response was for Gurney. Ricky Evans played in that first set. Like it says, that 1-4-6 was very special. The 72 with Gurney, I think, on 68 maybe to get the break.
Yes.
There was just parts in that where Ricky Evans looked very, very good and very comfortable on the stage. So for Gurney to respond the way he did, and for me, he's another one of them. Gurney's game, if you can find that double 16 or where that dart is lay on that double 16, tends to show how he's playing. And today it looked very, very good. And he's going to be a danger. He's in a difficult part of the draw, but he's going to be a danger if he can play like he did from set 2 onwards.
Well, he's moved back up.
Sliders on that double 16, I thought, to the outside, which is a little bit of an issue. Sort of like what we saw when Peter Wright was struggling recently. If he was missing, it was sliding across that double. But a good performance from him. Dad, what are you going to say?
Yeah, I was going to say he's moved back up to number 19 now in the world, so he's getting closer to the secret handshake club.
That doesn't exist.
Absolutely not. Also, as well, can we just talk about as well? Gurney played really, really well. I think that's the best I've seen him play in a while in a set play event, definitely. What I would say as well is the Sue celebrations. Goodness gracious me. Both of them.
Do you like anything?
No, I hate everything.
I admit they are terrible, but you don't like any of the songs. You don't like half the walk-ons.
To be fair, the crowd were better tonight, I thought. And I'll come on to the Ron Meulenkamp Lisa Ashton game in a bit because I thought we need to talk about that a little bit later. But I thought the crowd were better tonight. I really did. But yeah, the Sue celebrations are a bit much. Like, we get it, do it once, fine. I don't mind. Get it, doing it 4 times in a row. Let's stop that now. Come on.
I think this sums it up perfectly. There's got more players on the tour like this. You worry that Chris Dobie perhaps falls into this category as well. Evans always tends to be in pretty entertaining matches, despite losing most. At least he is good to watch due to his pace. 100% completely agree. But yeah, Ricky, unlucky today. I thought that was
Tugman makes a really good point as well. Let's put this in perspective and hold a good thought for Ricky's poorly sister. Absolutely, Alicia. Hope everything recovers that well. Definitely, 100%.
Time for another clip. No, not yet. Yes, we do have Gurney. I did ask for Gurney. Here is Daryl Gurney in his post-match. It's not in order of matches. The man had one job. We'll fire that one in for you now. This is Daryl Gurney in his post-match press conference.
But yeah, no. Listen, I've been practicing really hard, getting in between my ears sorted, and it paid off at the end of it because there's a Daryl Gurney. I probably would have missed him 3 darts at tops. They end that game 3-1 a couple of years ago, but thankfully this Daryl Gurney hit it and ended the game 3-1.
Talking of this Daryl Gurney, we've seen real signs that Super Chin is getting back to that top 8 player that we saw at the Players' Championship. Some really good stuff, only missing out to Ryan Searle in the last leg decider. Obviously played some good stuff in spells here. How close is that Daryl Gurney that was winning things and getting in the top 4 away?
Well, I feel like this Daryl Gurney's better. I mean, if you look back at the averages, I haven't had as many 100+ averages now than I did whenever I was doing my best, probably in 2017, 2018. So I feel like I'm playing better now than I ever was, but the problem is the standard and the PDCs went so much more.
He's not wrong.
No.
He's not wrong. Also, very, very quickly.
Not very often a dart player says something sensible, but I think Daryl Gurney got it bang on there.
Yeah, I mean, that game between himself and Ryan Searle at the Players' Championship finals, that quarter-final, for me, game of the weekend by a long, long way. I know the final was very, very good, but Wright should have wrapped that up easily, comfortably. That game was hammer and tongs, both at them, going absolutely back at it. And I think that has really tested Daryl Gurney, and that has made him battle-hardened for whomever it is that he faces in round number 3, because whoever he's going to get, it's going to be fun.
It's not a nice part of the draw that he finds himself in. Indeed. On to them, boys. The evening session. And we start with one of the players in contention for our player of the day poll. Your two's pick, not mine. I did pick Mr. Gurney. Willie O'Connor winning a fantastic game against Danny Lauby. Played at a good pace. We saw lots of decent scoring, plenty of pressure finishing. This jar was an absolute little gem of a game. It
was. Look, let's be honest about it. Willie O'Connor should have had the game wrapped up in the fourth set. Missed 4 match starts in that. We've got to put that. But Danny Lauby is a talent, man. He's a bloody talent. The scoring in particular during that last leg was unbelievable. You just wondered, when he missed that dart and he had the opportunity. Again, he missed 2 at double tops. And then Lauby had the 1-2-1, which he'd already checked out, a 1-16 and a 1-17 and a 1-2-1 himself. And he missed the double 18 this time for what would have been an incredible comeback. Because at 2-0, he was gone. He was gone. There was no way that he was winning that game. But that's the beauty of set play, as we always say. And that's why I will campaign for it long after I'm retired from covering darts. More set play, please. The thing is that O'Connor was really, really good. And the reason why I'm picking him as my player of the day, Gob, is because he had to win the game twice. He had the game won. He then fell asleep for 2 sets, and he had to win the game twice. He was brilliant. And look, from the 4 that we've seen, it gives him a fantastic opportunity now to go at a seed that most people would have thought at the time would have wanted at the start of the draw.
Completely agree with that one. Lee, look, Danny Lauby has been in this position before. He looked pretty impressive at the last World Championships. Was a bit of a plucky loser there. Same again here. We've seen it from other international players. Well, Matt Campbell perhaps is another to look at. Is there a worry that they do just become those plucky losers? And I know Matt Campbell now has his tour card because he went and played on the Challenge Tour. Lawrence Alagan is another one that looks great, will put on a good show, but perhaps won't quite get over the line in that first round and not really have a platform to build on. And is there any players that they should be looking at that have done it before? I'm trying to lead you towards Kyle Anderson, really. He's got to be the beacon to these players, isn't he? Going, look what he did when he made that big step over, got himself to Q School and got himself in the top 32 within the next 2 years.
Yeah, but and it is all on personal circumstance. If Lauby wants to push on and be a top 32 player, from glimpses of what you see tonight, there is potential there for that to happen, but it only happens if players like that commit fully to the sport, probably move over here and put that much time and effort into that to make that happen. But he's got to do. There was glimpses tonight where he was just brilliant to watch. It was so easy on the eye. He was my first of my 8 fantasy players to play this week. I'd just seen enough of him. I'd seen enough of him that I thought he was done very well tonight. And to be honest, I think we've been quite harsh in our player of the day that he's not in the mix. I know he's lost, but if he would have hit that double 18 for that 1-2-1, it would have probably been my player of the day. Does he miss that?
If Manana Ball should be my granddad, mate, but she doesn't, so she's not.
But and the fact that YouTube only gives me 4 options, so But
you can't.
I would probably be taking out the person who's top if it was my top 4.
But the thing is that mate, you can't. No, you can't be in a player. You can't be in a player of the day poll if you don't win. I'm sorry, if not for me, Clive.
My point on that would have been if he would have taken out that double 18, the performance that he'd had there to win that game and come back, he would have gone on to do it.
Yeah, but if he won, he would be in the poll and O'Connor wouldn't be. So
yeah, literally that.
Because O'Connor lost, so you don't go in. That's the point. What are you doing? Yeah, Move on.
To answer your initial question, there's enough of a player in there that if he's willing to commit, I can't see why he can't have a great career. And I'd 100% agree that Kyle is the inspiration to make that step. However, he's got to commit fully if that's the case, because otherwise it will just be, we'll see him make a world champion appearance, once every couple of years, and that'll be the go forward.
Now, this is a really good question. I'm glad you picked this, Gob.
Yeah. Nathan says, who has the highest ceiling between Baggish, Campbell and Lauby, in your opinion? I'm going to go first on this one, boys, because when we get to predictions and that later, that's all you two, and I'll just chip in at the end. I'm going to say Matt Campbell.
I totally agree with you.
I'm not Danny Baggish is a fantastic fighter, but we're yet to see him really top the 100 consistently and be that consistent high level player that he possibly could be. Danny Lauby is a fantastic talent, but I think the fact he plays at such a pace is a little bit of an issue for me. Campbell, look, we saw it in the live league. He just went on a run of unbeaten matches. The final to average 107. He's getting more experience. He's gone on and finished top on the Challenge Tour. He had a tough game at this World Championships, but he has gone. He's battle hardened now. He's got the scars from that World Cup against Belgium, the last couple of World Championships as well. I think next year Matt Campbell really pushes on. I wouldn't be surprised if he's top 64 by the end of the year because he is solid.
I wish I could add something to that, but I can't. I'm with you 100%. It is Matt Campbell.
Yeah, full
for me. Yeah, I think Matt Campbell is. I think Matt Campbell is the one because, well, again, like I'm quite intrigued to see how him and Baggish do together on the tour. But I'm also quite intrigued if Danny Lauby does commit to Q School and does stay here this year and does.
He said he was in his interview yesterday, didn't he?
Hopefully he does.
Or pre-event, he will do everything he could to get his tour card, which I might be impressed with. Rose says Baggish has gone under the radar. I'm not sure I agree with that, Rose. I just don't think he's had a great year.
I agree.
He made an impact at the World Championship. Beat Eddie Lewis, did he not?
Yes. Well, he had and then he won his tour card with one of the most incredible days. I remember you, Barzi, you two and Barzi together on that day, on the day that he won his tour card, and he had to win one leg in the final, and he won, and he lost 6-1. Unbelievable.
I do remember that.
I think he's done an awful lot this year. I think there is more in the tank for Danny Baggish, but he's sort of living off reputation right now, and I think he needs a big year next year if he is going to retain that tour card, or he might be going back to Q School and hoping for one of those miracle days once again. We have got massively off topic here, and we do have Willie O'Connor to play for you guys. So here is Willie O'Connor in his post-match press conference. We've got one more interview clip to play for you, 3 more games to review, and then we will look ahead to tomorrow in incredibly quick time. I promise you, we'll not be here past midnight tonight. This is Willie O'Connor.
I just thought it was a formality. I just thought it was like, get out there, throw the darts, get it done, get it backstage, celebrate with the boys and head home and get back for the next one. A silly mistake that I won't ever make again. Look at it as a draw. It's another player in front of me. I got to win it. Simple as that. That's the way I see it. I need to win. I want to win. He's in my way, so I have to push through him.
Do you know something? I'm really impressed with Willie O'Connor at the moment. He's saying the right. Do you know what? He's doing the Michael Van Gogh and doing the right things at the right moments and saying the right things at the right moments.
Oh, no more accents, man.
He's great.
You got Gary on in a bit. I tried to think what you're going to come out with because Gary said the line, by the way. It's like the kids saying "Do the roar" in Shrek. Gary said the line in his post-match.
Say the line, Gary.
Hey.
Right, let's get on with this.
Boys. We're going to brush over the next 2 games, I think, as quickly as we can. Ryan Meikle, 3-0 professional job on Fabian Schmutzler. A word that Schmutzler is the second youngest player to ever compete in this, and the fact that he even qualified after only being eligible for half of the European Development Tour. He made 3 finals, a semi-final, and a quarter-final, winning 2. Ridiculous record, but it just didn't quite happen for him tonight. Ryan Meikle doing a professional job with just an 89 average. Straight sets. Victory took Schmutzler a little bit of time to settle, with only winning his first leg in the second set, which is a bit of an issue, but a player that has bundles of talent, and that is what the development tour is for. 16-year-old, he will learn the game a bit more. That's possibly a bit of an issue of somebody at 16 doing as well as he has done on that, and I get the old adage that if you're good enough, you're old enough. Perhaps this was just a little bit of a step too far for the youngster, but he will be back, and he is one to keep an eye out for next year. The game after, boys, Ron Meulenkamp again.
I just want to say, very, very quickly, I apologise for interrupting. Big congratulations to Ryan Meikle. That win has pretty much kept his card, I think. He's moved on to
going through it, and he was the last interview we've got to play. Let's hear from Ryan Meikle, and then let's talk about the last 2 games. You've done it there.
I say, growing up, it's every boy's dream. Not just to get here, but to win a game. So I know it took 3 years, but it's worth the wait. unbelievable. So yeah, I'm over the moon. I knew about it, but luckily for me, like rankings, money, it never ever crossed my mind when I'm playing. Which is good. I mean, now I've finished. The first thing I said to my manager was like, I think I'm top 64 now. I ain't got to go to Q school. But at the time, it never crossed my mind.
Not sure you can know as soon as you finished without thinking about it, but not thinking about it, if that makes sense. But he is bang on. That win puts Ryan Meikle up into 56th place in the world. Doesn't have to go to Q school. And he will be sticking around for a bit longer. Did that really impressive performance over Dirk van Dijvenbode at the Players' Championships. And it looks like Meikle has given himself a platform to build on ahead of the 2022 season, which he will now be involved in as a tour card holder. Penultimate game of the night, Ron Meulenkamp 3, Lisa Ashton 0. A below par performance from Lisa Ashton as she goes, loses 3-0 on her third appearance at the PDC World Championship. She's yet to win a match there, Lee. A little bit disappointing from Ashton tonight. I mean, I backed her to win this match, and actually I think if she'd got going, produced her season average, she would have been mightily close to it, but she was very, very off the pace tonight.
Yeah, I think you're being kind to say a little bit disappointing, to be honest. I thought she was very, very disappointing. It's a shame because obviously this is the end of her 2 years as a tour card holder. I'm sure she'll be back to that tour card in January. But it was a disappointing performance. I'm sure if last week or the week before when we was doing the World Championship preview, it was a game I expected to Lisa Dowan and win as well. But 73 average in a World Championship, you don't have to have a massive stroke of luck to win a game at 73.
I've got to be honest with you. I think the third leg was crucial in all that. The fact that she missed 5 darts to go and win it, it would have been a breaker throw as well against Meulenkamp. That third leg of the first set, it would have been able to settle her. She would have been able to go for that first set and try and go from it. But from there, Meulenkamp won 6 legs. She just couldn't quite get a scoring. She was just off. She was just off all the time on those trebles. It was either she was either pitching far too over or under. She wasn't ever finding the middle of the bed, and that was a big problem. But I'm not saying that she would have gone and won the game, far from it, but I think that we would have had a different conversation had that third leg happened, personally.
Yeah, I think she's another that didn't quite benefit from that pace. Meulenkamp is quite methodical. Lisa will perform better, I think, when she's got that little bit of a rat-attack game. You think about that set she reeled off against Jan Decker on that stage.
Yes.
A blistering pace. That just didn't happen tonight. I'm not sure if that was because her first dart just wasn't there, and she is another advocate of being able to fire one off the barrel jar. You nailed it right. She was switching around the board an awful lot, but not quite finding anything. And actually, Lisa doesn't throw from 7'9.25". She stands a little bit further back from the oche, and something when you're moving around, not quite finding your range like that. Perhaps she didn't just quite settle while she was towing the oche before she threw. She does go down 3-0 and we'll be back to Q school.
On that as well, I'm not sure if it would have played a part because a lot of people were tipping her to win tonight, whereas in the previous 2 times that she was at the World, it wasn't. Not sure if that was playing a part on it, as Lod says, early on, when she's come flying out the block to then Jan Decker. Yes, there's different pace, but we just didn't see that flying start from Lisa that we've seen plenty of times. So I'm not sure if that had an impact. That probably the shortest odds she would have been on Des to win a down there, and it was a down that a lot of people were backing her to do well. Not sure it had an impact, but that first set sort of then the game was done for me.
Could have been worse though. Could have been Tony Fleet.
20 Women's Series next year for Lisa Ashton to get involved in. Also the chance she goes back to Q School, picks up her card. I have no doubt there will be lots of amateur events calling for her to play in as well if she isn't successful getting that tour card. But we will wait and see what the new year brings. Final game of the night, boys, and this was the one that everybody's been talking about since yesterday, since Adrian Lewis beat Matt Campbell. In fact, we've been talking about this since way before that result because it's just ridiculous to have 2 former 2-time world champions competing against each other in the second round. Gary Anderson against Adrian Lewis. Ando winning 3-1, boys. And actually, apart from that first set, he looked pretty comfortably.
Yeah, it looked pretty comfortable from the first break. And I was still surprised that there wasn't a change after the first break because that first set was his darts were just not right. There wasn't lay right. There wasn't being released right. It was just a bit of a mess from Darren Anderson at the start. And there was still question marks, even though Lewis won it, because Lewis wasn't done in that first set. But Anderson come out after that break and seemed a different player completely. And it's good to see, because Itan Challenge, we know last year, you know, how far we got and didn't play great throughout. There were parts in it. So it'll be interesting to see if Anderson then pushes on now, because getting through that tie, which was a very, very difficult tie against AD Lewis, who has already played and got that match there where Anderson had a per players championship. So fair play to Daryl Anderson. I had a sneak feeling that AD Lewis would come through that tonight, especially when I saw that first set as well. I was adamant he was going to ease through it. So fair play to Anderson on the response.
Yeah, look, the averages says that this one was a pretty close battle, but the set score lines, Lewis wins the first one 3-2. Gary had chances to be 2-0 up in that set, maybe even win that set 3-0, 3-1. Doesn't quite take them. The outer ring takes him a little bit of time to get going. Then he wins 3-0, 3-1, 3-0. At one point, I think it was in the third set, he was averaging 120 after 2.5 legs. Gary found his range. Lewis didn't really. The stats make it look a lot closer than it was. Overall, 93 average from Gary. Yes, we're saying it was okay in patches, but when he's got a new set of darts on him, scoring looked okay in patches. Was definitely vulnerabilities on the doubles early on. Lewis just didn't take advantage of them once again, and now we're sat here going, does he actually make that climb back into the top 32?
I don't think he does. I think this is where he is now. I think he's hovering around it. He might, you know, there might be the break where he does get back into the top 32, but I don't think it's going to happen. Anderson goes and wins 9 of the last 10 legs, and you know, in 2 of the big major, you know, back-to-back years now at the World Championships. I mean, do we think, coming out of nowhere, I mean, he 200 grand Richie last year. I'm pretty sure because Gando needs the money, let's be frank about it. But at the moment, the new darts, from my opinion, they look hideous. They do. They feel like they're bombs. They feel like they're Ryan Sill. Fuck their joints at the moment in time.
Longer.
Really?
Dan's nailed it. They're like Priestley's with an Ando paint job. They're bulbous at the front.
Yeah, but also at the same time, though, they feel like the way they were hitting the board, they felt like they were the bombs that Ryan Searle throws. Genuinely, the sound was mental. But
I'm not
anyway,
sure. I think Gary's reason for swapping is he doesn't feel like the hand opens quick enough. I think he said it was something to do with his thumb position. Yeah. And the thing is, when Gary Anderson is in full flow, the darts hit the board and they stick up. They stick up like that. This is Gary's World Championship dart, by the way. Got these moving away. When they're going in the board when he's playing badly, and even with the new darts today, they're hitting the board and then they're changing angle of entry. They're dropping a little bit. They're moving around. It's the same issue. So whatever the reason that he's changed, he's still having the same issue with the new dart. Is whenever he's up on stage, he can go as well as he wants in his half an hour practice session with Ryan Searle, because he's conning everybody to believe that he's actually putting in any work. And the fact the man can get up and throw darts like that is brilliant. But look, tested out a new set of darts. Is through to the last 32 yet again at the Alexandra Palace.
This is what I want to go on to, God, very, very quickly. Is that, you know, he's got either Ian White or Chris Landman for a third round tie. If you'd offered him that, you'd take it. Rob Cross against Daryl Gurney. One of them's going to knock each other out and they're in decent form. Okay, Rob Cross against Daryl Gurney in the last 16 could be a challenge of the way they're playing. But in a quarter-final, potentially against Dave Chisnell, Luke Humphreys, Chris Dobie, Michael Van Gerwen up there as well. You know what? I think Gary would have bit your arm off for that. And if he can get in full flow with these new darts, I wouldn't be surprised at all if we're talking about Gary Anderson being in a World Championship final once again. Ridiculous.
He's got, 11 days to get ready for that next round tie, then a couple of days again. He knows
Gando
how
versus,
to get through this tournament.
Gando versus Searle semi-final potentially. The two of them just practicing together.
They'll spend more time in that world final than they will practicing all year. I absolutely guarantee
Semi-final rather than final. But yeah, carry on. Right, we've got to talk about games and stuff. We've got lots more tomorrow.
We have to look ahead to tomorrow's session. Another double session at the Alexandra Palace.
Hooray.
6 first-round games, 2 second-round games. But before we do that, just a quick reminder, please do drop us a like on the stream if you enjoy any of our content. Head over to our socials, etc., to keep up with all of the action. Subscribe to the channel. We are on our way to 20,000 subscribers. If you get us there by the end of the World Championships, we would be very, very, very grateful. And it means we can put a little bit more effort into our Q School coverage of the Madas. That is the 8, 9, 10 days as players try and make their PDC careers happen, especially as the WDF World Championships has been moved. So we're not doubling up.
I thought you were going to go proper to make all their dreams come true. I thought you were going to go proper, all that sort of stuff like the Dream Factory, etc.
Something like that. We're going to look ahead to tomorrow's games, but I do have a guest in the back end of this. Not even, it's in. I don't even have to wait for it. Literally, before we do move on to tomorrow, we have Gary Anderson's clip. And the only words I've been sent is box office. Let's hear what the man that just gone. Do the action. Do the accent.
He just wants to play darts. That's all he wants to do. Play darts. Play darts.
Yeah, that used to do it a couple of weeks ago. Van Gilman, to be honest, and I thought, right, that's it. But after 40 hours, it was gone again. So, yeah, I don't know. I'm trying to tell people I've done it I've done it half my life. If I want to spend time at home, and all the keyboard warriors say, "Oh, he's crap now, he's rubbish now," I don't give two monkeys. I've done my job. I want to spend time with the family. Is that a problem? Is that against the law? Is it wrong? I don't know, but that's the way I look at it. I've done it. I'm 51 this year. I'd like to have a bit of my time.
Imagine being world number 6 and just not giving a crap about the game. World number 4 is the same. James Wade literally would not play darts if he had the choice, but he's just good at it. Gary Anderson seems to be in exactly the same position. They're just topping up their comfort and earning a fair whack along the way.
Well, it looks like that he's also going to win another award tonight. It looks like that he is absolutely romping clear in our Player of the Day award. And I don't like normally chastise the chat room, but you're all wrong. Simple as plain as that. But well done for both for him.
Gurney edging towards second, but we won't hear that as I'm about to try and end it. Not like that. That's a bit. Said that a bit weird. On to tomorrow's action then, boys. First up in the afternoon, opening up the action on day number 3. Jar, I'm going to come to you first on this one because you have tipped this man to make it to the semi-finals. What are you doing, man? Ryan Joyce against the Czech Republic and Roman Beneke.
I think the thing is, the reason why I've tipped it is because it is such a nice draw. I quite like this draw for Ryan Joyce at this moment in time because I think that Dimitri van den Bergh might potentially is in deep trouble with whoever he gets in the second round because Big Shindiggity and Florian Hempel love an upset. And the winner of this goes and plays Mervyn King, who hasn't had the greatest record.
Jar, who I've tipped to the semi-final, by the way.
Who, Merv?
Yeah. Well, and you've done Ryan Joyce, and he's a second round tie potentially.
The thing is about Merv is that his record at the Ali Pali isn't that good. And
it's not on ITV, that's why.
Exactly that. So that's the reason why I'm not feeling it. So I think that this is going to be. I don't know much about Roman Beneke. I will be brutally honest with you. Gob can tell you more about that. But I will be very, very surprised if it isn't a comfortable win for Ryan Joyce 3-0. And the fact is as well, boys, one final thing, Ryan Joyce has made a World Championship quarter-final before. He doesn't have to play Meikle van Gerwen this time either, which is always going to be a massive help.
Somehow. Lee, score prediction for you?
3-1, Ryan Joyce.
Yeah, I'm going to do the same. I think Beneke gets a set. He's a player that you're starting to see his name thrown around a little bit more, especially if you spend any real time on Dart Connect, just exploring the millions and millions of events that are out there. Still don't know an awful lot about him, though, but I expect Ryan Joyce to get through this one. 3-1. Yeah, you guys are way ahead of the curve, as always. Tommy says Joyce 3-1. 3-0 for Brandon. Matthew's going 3-0 for Joyce, as is Swifty. Edits. Maliki says Beneke played in the World Cup before. There we go. These guys, why aren't you doing the show? We could sit here and just enjoy you chatting rubbish instead. On to game number 2, boys. This one is a little bit intriguing. It's a youngster versus someone with a little bit more experience and a clash of styles. Keane Barry takes on Royden Lamb. Come to you firstly.
Barry Keane, not Keane Barry. Get it right.
Correct.
Imagine getting it right and then being told off for getting it wrong on our own channel.
You know what it's like on this station. Go on.
Yeah. On this one, I think Barry Keane. I think 3-1. I think Ryden Lamb will get one. Will get a set. I think it'll slow him down. And obviously, we know the pace at what Barry Keane wants to play at, and I think that could have an impact on his performance. But I still expect him to come through it. Same as Tudbart of 3-1.
I'm going the same as Brandon Gobb. It will be Barry Keane 3-2. 5-set thriller on a Friday afternoon.
Darts is full of irony, but the fact Wham Bam Royden Lamb plays pretty slowly is one of those factors. It's just a nickname that doesn't suggest that will be a thing. I'm going to go for Keane Barry. The performances at the Players' Championship, I think, are going to be what's swaying me with this one.
You look good as well.
Barry
Good as well.
wins to sing Barry Manilow. No more singing. Do not give the players the microphone.
Lewis did it on day one. Now Gurney's doing it on day two. By the way, Barry Keane looked good in the World Youth before losing to Angola. So I'm quite intrigued, I think.
Which, you've just opened another can of worms because Adam Gaulas is not very quick. And that might have been an issue in that match.
It's only a first to five legger. It's only a first to five legger, though.
Yeah. I'm going Keane Barry, and I'm going to say he wins this one 3-1. Match number 3, boys. And a couple of years ago, I'd have been pretty excited for this one, but Jermaine Watamena has not had the best of years. Boris Koltsov has shown glimpses yet again throughout the year, but is still yet to deliver a consistent B or C game that means he could compete at the highest professional level. Jar, coming to you first on your predictions for this one.
I genuinely have got absolutely no idea where this is going. Normally, I'd back Jermaine Watamena hands down, but since 2019, he hasn't really kicked on, which is what he needed to do. He seems to lose heartbreakers at the World Championship. Remember that game against Luke Humphreys, which to me, game of the tournament a couple of years ago. But I'm going to say he gets the job done in this one. It's going to be close, though, but a 3-1, but it will be coming down to the final legs of the fifth of the set. The fifth legs will always decide sets, and I think Jermaine Watamena wins 3 out of 4 of them.
Lee, as if you need to wait for me to ask you. Just go, man. We've done this enough now.
Too polite for you, mate. I'm going Big Bad Boris, and I'm going the reverse of Jar's store as well. So I'm going 3-1 for Big Bad Boris.
Boris is one that would be up on the wall if it was possible, but I don't have the facilities to make that happen. I love Big Bad Boris, and therefore this one is going heart over head. I'm going to say Boris wins 3-1.
I prefer the other Boris, not Johnson, Kutchma.
They're both Big Bad Borises, and if they walk up to me and tell me it's Saturday, and that is the end of that conversation. On to the final game of the afternoon session is the round 2 clash between the impressive today Steve Lennon against, boys, the Polish Eagle, who, a quick reminder, is a different animal on TV this year. Jar, where are you going first?
He's not a different animal on television. Johnny Clayton is a different animal on television. This is going to be a good game. I'm really intrigued to see what happens here. Purely and simply because if Lennon reproduces what he produced against Rasma, I think we're in for a really good game. Having said that, though, I think that Ratajski will win, and I'm going to go. Do I give Lennon 2 sets or do I not? Yeah, Sonic, go on, I will. 3-2.
Leave.
The theme continues of the seed losing the first set, but that is the only set that Steve Lennon wins, and then Ratajski, the different animal, goes on to win 3-1.
He soars.
Yeah,
he's not a different animal.
That's not Lee's stat, and I was 100% going to pull that out of the bag myself. Lee pinched it from somewhere. I was going to pinch it from somewhere else. But yeah, the seeded bet in round 2 has lost the first set in every game so far. Admittedly, there has only been 3 of them, but they have all lost the first set, and they have all gone on to win 3-1 after that as well. So I think that theme continues as well, right up until the next round 2 game, but we'll get to that very shortly. I'm going to go Ratajski 3-1 as well, and that looks like the common consensus in the chat room into the evening session. And boys, and we start off, oh my God, he's back. Paul Lim is back at the Alexandra Palace. What a sight. Let's hope he can hit that 9-darter this year, because the place would absolutely erupt.
I was in
9-darter on TV.
It was Jose de Sousa, 8th of April 2021 in the Premier League. We haven't had a 9-darter since the crowds have returned on television.
Paul Lim makes that change tomorrow. But Lee,
can I just say, just going to say really quickly that I was actually in the room on the day that he hit that hit the almost 9-darter against Gary Anderson. I've never heard a room just pop. The energy in the room just pop at the time when he missed the 12. And he went on to lose the leg as well, which is even worse. I'm really intrigued by this game because Joe Meulenkamp's been playing some decent stuff as well. So I'm quite intrigued with this. I think it's going to be attritional. But sod it, I'm going to go with the man, the myth, the legend, Paul Lim, and he wins this 3-2.
Cheers, Lee. How about you?
Over to you, Joe.
I thought you were going. I thought I heard Jar.
No.
It's been a long day, mate. It's been a long day.
I'm not batting against Paul Lim. Not a chance. Paul Lim wins this game. I don't know. 3-1. Let's start 3-1, but I can't bat against Paul Lim. Not a chance.
Pete says, "Are we all related? 3 versions of the same guy." No, we're a bit different if we all go for a piss at the same time, but we won't get into that in
it just gets dominated when it says Lee Boy's speaking, but actually it was Joel Lafitte, and that's all it is.
That was really bad timing for us as well.
Sorry.
And, we have a different accent. Mine's educated, and these two are from Birmingham, so you know.
Blackpool?
No, I didn't. I was just saying Black Country and got it mixed up.
You're just jealous that we went there this year, Gob, and you didn't.
I love every single one of Dan's predictions so far, by the way, has come with a winner, and then whatever song they're going to sing if they win. This one is Paul Lim wins 9-darter and then sings Gangnam Style.
By the way, you've already had one prediction that's failed tonight because you said we're not going to be here till midnight, but here we are.
Okay. I love you boys, and I love Paul Lim, but not for this one. He is a fantastic story. The fact he's still about, and actually, this experience might stand him in good stead for a decent run in February, but I don't think it quite happens here. Without the Asian Tour this year as well, it's difficult to gauge where Paul Lim is. He's been a little bit inconsistent in the World Cup, not quite as impressive, and living off reputation a little bit. He is still a massive crowd favourite, but Joe Meulenkamp is a classy operator, and I think he'll get the job done. 3-1. Second game of the evening, and this one, boys, has a big implication in tour cards potentially, as Willie Borland takes on Bradley Brooks. If Bradley Brooks loses, he wins a tour card via youth system, and if he wins, he retains it as a 64. And Nathan Rafferty wins his tour card, is finishing second on the PDC Developmental Order of Merit. Lee, I'll come to you first. Who wins this one?
Yeah, I think Bradley Brooks wins it. However, I do think it goes all the way. I'm with Tommy on this one. I think it goes all the way. I think we're going to see a 5-setter in this one, but Bradley Brooks takes it, which Rafferty will be happy with the result.
I disagree. I'm backing Willie Borland. I think he's been playing some really good stuff recently. Again, played well in the youth championship. So did Bradley. Again, though, I think it goes all the way. It's going to be a long old night at the Palace, I think, tonight, Friday night. 3-2.
You say long old night, but these two will play at a decent pace.
Yeah.
They will just get up and throw it.
It's the length of games, isn't it? It's the length of games.
Generation. Yeah, I think it's a 5-setter, but I don't think it's a slow burner. I think even if these two go on average 85, there's going to be lots of high scoring. There's going to be lots of moving around the board. They're going to get attempts at big checkouts and that sort of thing. But there is also going to be those edgy moments where they miss 4 or 5 in hand at a double, etc. And with that, I'm going to say Borland wins. I just think the fact that Brooks is in a better position if he loses long term, perhaps will play on his mind, and that might very much relax him. But at the same time, if you go on stage knowing that actually, I'm not saying he's going to go up there to not win, but if you go up there knowing that whatever happens, you're in a good position, you're absolutely fine, aren't you? Because in those moments, Borland's going to want it more because it means more to Willie Borland.
I do.
I'm not laughing at that, though. I'd love that. If Willie Borland comes out and sings I'm Too Sexy.
Christ's sake, Dan. We're already past midnight, man. Let's move on. Penultimate game of the night and the Battle of the Smiths jar. This is one of the ties of round 1 on paper. Does that materialise tomorrow?
Well, which charming man will be going through, Gob? Heaven knows one of them will be miserable by the end of the night. I don't know. Is it God's honest truth?
By the way, it's not quite Oasis. They're not quite as...
No.
But, you know.
Smiths are quite incredible, so please.
Lee loves a bit of Oasis references. Carry on.
I'm going to say that Smith wins this game.
Oh, yeah, look at all the comedians, as does Rose and as does Swifty Edits. Yeah, brilliant. Well done, folks.
I'm backing the man with the online darts logo on his shirt. Ross Smith wins. And I'm going to go with another one. 3-2. 3 3-2s on the night. It'll be a good game, this. Really excited.
Lee?
Ross Smith as well, but I think it's 3-1. I'll keep it short and sweet. 3-1, Ross Smith.
Someone's light will go out by the end of the night.
I think that is what happens. Ross Smith has looked superb at times this year. He's been incredibly consistent.
No. I know he's in the jar. No.
Just for Sam, there is someone's light will be going out by the end of the night.
Christ. Final game of the evening, boys, and the man defending World Championship winners prize money, not the defending champion, but on the 2-year system, defending the winners prize money. Peter Wright takes on a man that is not afraid of gunning him down, according to the rest of his interview. We played you a little bit of a clip of it earlier, but Ryan Meikle is going on the charge against Peter Wright tomorrow. We have absolutely no idea which set of darts Peter Wright is going to use in the match. We have no idea what he's going to walk up on stage with, and we have no idea what he's going to finish with, because there could be completely different options if we know anything about snakebite. But, Jarlith, if he takes up the World Match Play darts, the Players' Championship darts, Peter Wright is very comfortable here, isn't he?
Yes, and we also don't know what the hell he's going to be wearing, because he likes to have a lovely thing before Christmas. Don't know if it'll be a nightmare or whether it'll be anything else, but let's see. Look, Ryan Meikle's a very, very talented player. I don't dispute that, but unfortunately for him, there are levels to this game. And I think that Wright wins this pretty comfortably. And I'm going to go for the first whitewash of round 2. Ian Wright, bloody hell. not that one. Peter Wright beats Ryan Meikle 3-0.
Lee?
I'm holding on to my stat. And I'm running with it into Friday for both games. Ryan Meikle, first set, Peter Wright, 3-1.
It's just going to be...
And I'm going to add to that, he loses the first set and then changes his darts.
After set 1, he'll change back to the match play darts.
And then 100%. Win 3 on the bounce and win 3-1.
Yeah.
Do you reckon the bookies are offering odds on that yet?
Can we get a specials on that? If Alex and Patty from Ladbrokes, can we get a specials on that, please?
Or we'll ask Boyles, because, they're sponsoring our show, Jar. Cracking up. Yeah.
We're not live, are we? We're not live.
I wasn't told. Right, anyway. I'm just thinking it's a bit like Sutton United's goalkeeper eating a pie on the bench. I think that's the sort of one. Yeah. Wayne Shaw, was it, perhaps?
Going back with Boyles, everybody.
Yes. Prediction from me, I think just not convinced he comes out with them darts. And that's an issue. And I think the pace, look, Peter Wright is not the quickest in the world, but if you play somebody that gets on it at pace, and Peter Wright can dictate the game, he's a better player than if somebody else is slower and making... The longer Peter Wright has to think in between visits, the more chance he's got of messing around with his darts during the game. And Ryan Meikle will provide plenty of those opportunities. That being said, I backed him to win the title, so I can't say that he's not going to win this match. Peter Wright will win this one 3-1, but he won't lose the first set. He will win the first set. Just, Lee, your record is done tomorrow evening. And with that, boys, I promise we're going to be here till past midnight. It is 7 minutes past. I deeply apologise to everybody that was conned by that comment. I thought we'd absolutely fly through it. But as usual, these two chatted absolute nonsense, and I just couldn't rein them in, as you can tell from the last hour or something. No, not
back your bets with BoyleSports. That's all that's going to be said.
Indeed. Now I'll do my outro, which seems to get longer and longer every single day, by the way. So a big, massive thank you to BoyleSports for backing us for the entirety of the World Championship. They've been with us for a large part of the year through the Grand Prix Players Championship, and God knows else what. They've been superb. You can follow us on TikTok to see Sam Tizzle's tips with BoyleSports, as well as our recommended bets on our website daily. Head over to our Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram channels to follow all of those and keep up with all the action. Interviews from all of today's winners in full are available on our YouTube channel once the show finishes. I appreciate it's a little bit late for some of you folks, but if not, make sure you jump on some of those before the session starts tomorrow. Thank you very much to Lee and Jarlath for joining me throughout this evening, and to everybody in the chat room that has got involved. We'll be back once again tomorrow for the Fallout Bar Day 3 and to review 8 more games at the PDC World Championship. Thank you very much for watching. Thank you very much for listening if you're listening as a podcast, and we will see you tomorrow.